again, I commend Colin Kaepernick for being a black athlete abolitionist. I commend Muhammad Ali for being a black athlete abolitionist. I commend Tommie Smith and John Carlo from the 1968 Olympics for being a black athlete abolitionist. I commend Maumoud Abdul Rauf, former NBA player who has now been blackballed from the NBA when he had his professional career. I commend him for standing up against racism, white supremacy in this country. Alright, you already know what it is. Chauncey, aka Ukarema GMOGMedia, with another GMOGMedia spotlight. Alright, family, as you can see, it's raining like cats and dogs, but I'm out here still trying to bring this information to the people. Alright, family, I want to talk about today's topic is the Black Athlete Abolitionists. Alright, family, before I start, once again, my name is Chauncey, aka Ukarema. If you are new, please subscribe. I talk about issues that affect black people collectively as a group, and I also talk about issues pertaining to racism, which is white supremacy, and I offer my suggestions on how to replace this system of injustice, this broken system of racism, white supremacy, with a system of justice. So if you're new, please subscribe. All right, family, so today's topic I want to talk about is the recent so-called controversy of Colin Kaepernick not standing up for the so-called national anthem. All right, and I'm gonna break all this stuff down, family. I titled this video Black Athlete Abolitionists, and the reason why I titled it that is because an abolitionist, as you know, is a person that is trying to end slavery, is trying to abolish slavery, right? And because of the system of racism, white supremacy, because black people collectively as a group still live under the system of racism, white supremacy, we are still slaves. Go back to my last video where I talked about black people are still prisoners of war. A prisoner is still a slave. Look at the 13th Amendment. They so-called abolished slavery with the exception of punishment for a crime. Okay? Now, because of the system of racism, white supremacy, you don't really have to commit a crime to be a slave, because they control all 9 areas of activity. That's economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. So when you control all the wealth, resources, and the infrastructure around the world, you are still in the system of racism, white supremacy. All right, family. So this is why I titled the video Black Athlete Abolitionists, because people like Colin Kaepernick, all right, who didn't stand up for the national anthem because of the mistreatment of black and brown people in this country. You got to commend him for that. And I definitely commend him for that, for protesting just like that. You got to commend other people like Muhammad Ali, okay, another black athlete abolitionist who did not accept his enlistment into the Vietnam War to serve in the military. All right, you got to respect that. Another abolitionist, another pro-athlete abolitionist, Tommie Smith and John Carlos from the 1968 Olympic Games, who did the black fist, the black pump fist, right there, family. All right, that was iconic. Also, another black athlete abolitionist is Maumoud Abdul Rauf, who was a former NBA player, all right, who did not stand up and show so-called respect to the national anthem because of his religious beliefs. But he also understood racism, white supremacy. And also, when you do these type of things, when you show what you believe in and what you do is not stand up for the national anthem, there's going to be backlash, and you are potentially going to ruin your career. And this is sad, but this is to be expected. And under the system of racism, white supremacy, you are going to expect those repercussions. So a guy like Colin Kaepernick, who just signed a deal for over $100 million, his career is in jeopardy, family. And That is the risk you have to take by standing up against racism, white supremacy, by protesting against that. Other athletes are so afraid to do that in the NFL and professional sports in general. A guy like Colin Kaepernick, you have to respect that, and you have to consider the fact that he is a man that understands racism, white supremacy, and wants to seek a system of justice. All right, family? So I'm going to go in on this topic, family. What I wanted to address, family, is the national anthem. All right? The national anthem, I've never respected the national anthem. For one, you got a so-called patriotic theme song talking about home of the free, land of the brave, when this country was built on the slaves of free labor by black folk. All right? You have black people serving in the military, all right, dying for the rights and the power for racism, white supremacy in this country. So, by all means necessary, when you do that, coupled with the fact that the creator of the national anthem, Frances Scott Key, a known white supremacist slaveholder who specifically said that black people are an inferior race. He said that Africans are an inferior race. So you got to ask yourself, a white person who's patriotic, who sings the national anthem, and the creator of that song, Frances Scott Key, who says that black people are an inferior race, would you consider that patriotic? That's a rhetorical question, because since this country was built on racism, that is actually patriotic. But again, the national anthem and the flag and everything about this country was built on tyranny, was built on racism, white supremacy. And the mistreatment, the subjugation, the disenfranchisement of black people in this country, okay, is still happening to this day. And I applaud Colin Kaepernick for standing up for what he believes in. Now, going back to Frances Scott Key, who said that black people are inferior, that is factually incorrect. All right, family, and I'm going to back this up with scientific data, because the so-called white man, the Caucasian, has only been around for 26,000 years. According to their DNA haplogroup, haplogroup R, has only been around for 26,000 years. Now, they say that the black athlete was bred to be genetically superior against other ethnicities, right? Of course, that's true, but that's not because of slavery. That's because we've had a 200 to 300,000 year head start. The oldest known haplogroup found by scientists is haplogroup A00. African American haplogroup A00 is the oldest known haplogroup in the world. And the dates go back between 270 to 300,000 years. So again, we had a head start many thousands and thousands of years before this so-called white man ever existed on this planet Earth. All right? So again, you have a system that was built on disenfranchisement, mistreatment of black people, the mistreatment of Native Americans, brown people in this country to dominate another group of people based off color. How are you going to respect that as a flag? You want to say you have to respect the flag based off the veterans and the military fighting for this country. Once again, I've already explained to you that black people fought aside against Europeans. They fought with Europeans for this country. Not only that, the U.S. military, the U.S. Marine Corps specifically, had rules and regulations to disenfranchise and to racially marginalize black people from being enlisted in the Marine Corps. And I'm going to give you a direct quote. In 1798, when the Marine Corps was officially reinstituted, Secretary of War James McHenry specifying in its rules no Negro, mulatto, or Indian to be enlisted. Marine Commandant William Ward Burroughs instructed his recruiters regarding USMC racial policy. You can make use of blacks and mulattoes while you recruit, but you cannot enlist them. This policy was in line with the long-standing British naval practice, which set a higher standard of unit cohesion for Marines so they could remain loyal, maintain shipboard discipline, and help out put down mutinies. All right, so the military has a history of racism pertaining to black people, Native Americans, mulattoes. So the suspected white supremacists coming out talking about Colin Kaepernick is disrespecting the flag because he doesn't support veterans. Well, are you going to apologize for the disenfranchisement and the mistreatment of black people, Native Americans, mulattoes in this country for not being allowed to participate in the military, specifically the U.S. Marine Corps, since 1942, which has been so-called abolished? Are you going to apologize for that? Are you going to apologize for Frances Scott Key by specifically saying that black people are inferior? You let me know. All right, family? So again, I commend Colin Kaepernick for being a black athlete abolitionist. I commend Muhammad Ali for being a black athlete abolitionist. I commend Tommie Smith and John Carlo from the 1968 Olympics for being a black athlete abolitionist. I commend Maumoud Abdul Rauf, former NBA player who has now been blackballed from the NBA when he had his professional career. I commend him for standing up against racism, white supremacy in this country. All right, family. So that's what I wanted to talk about. You guys let me know what you guys think about Colin Kaepernick's protests and the other protests in the past, and how racism, white supremacy is still the main culprit for our social ills in this country, and how black people are standing up against, especially pro athletes, are taking a stand, and other athletes are so afraid to do so. You guys let me know what you guys think down below. All right, so that's what I wanted to talk about. Chauncey, aka Ukarema, Great Man of God Media, signing out. Peace.